Okay, welcome back. We passed turn then, and we are now in late July 1853. And I think this might be the first turn in a year where there has been no military activity at all. I mean, there's military activity, but there's no kind of significant engagements to read back on or anything like this. Not insignificant, though. There have been some important developments. Omar Pasha's force, having rested inside Rumelia for, I think, about a month now, is in good shape. The army is completely ready for operations, having rested, received replacements. The cavalry division, which of course came up from Constantinople, has just rejoined. That's slightly more disorganized, but only in a very relative way. This is the best shape his command has been in, I would say, since the beginning of the war. He is very much ready for operations. And if we have a look, we can see that the Russians have moved down. They've captured Varna. They've captured the town, at least anyway. They have limited control over the region. And Gorchakov's corps has moved in and is besieging Plevna. That doesn't seem to be a particularly huge force that he has, but I'm sure he'll be backed up by additional forces to the rear. A portion of the force that was at Salonika is not present. I can't see it. At my guess, it's probably pressing north, maybe heading towards Plevna, or we don't know. But whatever the weather, we're in midsummer. The weather is perfect. The expectation is that we probably march north to hit Gorchakov. We're not going to use the fortress to buy time. We're set to offensive posture, all-out attack. We are going to launch a long march. 13 days through Plovdiv, over the river, and into Thessalonica. And once we get there, we're going to assault the fortress. This is the most that we've asked of Omar Pasha in any given turn so far, is for him to actually march that kind of length, engage in an offensive in the field, and then immediately after that assault the fortress. It's a really, really risky move. But my feeling is we have to have Salonika back. National morale's at 85%. It's beginning to kind of wane. Russian national morale, on the other hand, is at 100 now. 15 points. So yeah, we need to take some decisive action, and that is what we're going to do. I've noticed that the structure that I tried to build in Constantinople has been cancelled. I think that's the second time that's happened. It does look like all of our private capital has been recouped, as our manufactured goods has. I think that's because there is a Russian force there. The Russian force is almost functioning like a kind of brigand force from the Middle Ages or the early modern period. It's blocking roads, it's obstructing us getting kind of what we need into Constantinople. Anyway, the reserve army commander Ismail Pasha is in place. Hopefully that's going to wrap that deal up. We just need to engage it and destroy it. We've also got a light cavalry brigade which has finished training in Smyrna. That's going to be heading north, and that's going to take 11 days. That will also engage the Russian force, but also provide good reconnaissance in the region and make it more likely that we can engage the Russian force there also. Imperial fleet is ready to rock, and we're going to do just that. We are... Oh, hang on. There we go. We're going to send it to the Aegean. We're going to sit tight just off of Salonika. We are going to bombard Salonika and try and hit Russian boys based in there. In the east, Abdulkerim-Nadir, who was sitting in Erzurum, his force is in good shape. It seems to have received replacements and is reasonably well organised. Mehmed Vasif Pasha is 2 days away. He's going to hook up and take over the army corps that was vacated by Abdul Karim when he basically took command of the stack, which he's done. In Constantinople then, the Deadwood has been given command of the city garrison, and even though he's a complete imbecile and utterly useless, he does actually provide some benefit to the Constantinople garrison. So it's not a bad call having a kind of a senior officer in place there, although he will make the garrison more expensive, ironically, because he's corrupt. Mehmed Rashid Pasha, he's activated this turn. His force is in good shape. It's comprised now a cavalry division plus a brigade plus four brigades of paramilitary Bashi Bazouk sort of militias. We're going to hopefully finish the deal there and storm the fortress. There is actually nothing else to report because there's been no kind of combats. All quiet in Aden, all quiet in Libya. Let me just check through to see if there's anything that I've missed. Okay, they captured Varna. Nothing. That's just okay. Let's quickly check our trade balance. think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's close enough for government work. Happy with all of that. Let's check our assets balance, make sure that our trade balance isn't creating any kind of undue problems. Everything looks pretty sound there. Economic disruption continues. The key to resolving economic disruption is clearing the center of kind of small irregular forces like this. We're going to keep Ismail Pasha's corps basically outside the city in Constantinople, permanently sighted as a force to engage any small forces that might land there. I think that's going to be rather important that we do that. We'll keep a kind of a cavalry brigade on site with him as well, and yeah, it's important that we keep the kind of the area around the kind of capital. The capital is obviously heavily fortified. There's no prospect of the city falling, but we don't want kind of small Russian raiding forces creating that kind of disruption. What's going on here? The British are engaged in some expeditions. It is a protectorate, so I rather get the feeling they might be wasting their time. But yeah, they're engaging in some. That's the treaty they're trying to organise. Okay, that's everything. So, given the relative success, I rather feel anyway of the last video, I'm going to pop you on pause. We'll pass turn now, and I'll unpause the recording. Once we get to, where are we? Early August. We're hammering through the summer. Once we get to early August, and we'll continue the video from there. So I'll see you on the other side at the beginning of next term. Okay, welcome back. Early July 1853, and I have snuck through and had a quick look at the reports before I unpaused record, and well, all eyes on Omar. Look at what he has done. The unthinkable. Marched 13 days straight, engaged in a colossal action, and I mean this is even better than it looks on the surface. The actual engagement in the field wins us 2 national morale points. It is overwhelming success against Ivan Paskovich, who has made a career out of losing battles to Omar Pasha. 13,400 prisoners, 35,000 casualties inflicted, 10,000 losses of our own. That is in the bag as a win. It's a 5-round action, not a quick battle. The Russians really fancied it, and they had some fortress troops in place. They are obviously the last forces to be whittled down, and yeah, the Russian force was defeated. The fortress was stormed, and it is well and truly in the bag. Omar Pasha is not done yet. His force is in considerably good shape, surprisingly good shape, I should say, despite the incredible action that he has just engaged in. He is now going to be pursuing the Russians north through Macedonia, into Nish, and then into Zvornik, and we have intelligence on what is awaiting us. It looks like a large part of the Russian force, because of our increased loyalty in Sarajevo, 50% loyalty to us, we get really good intelligence on Russian forces there, mixed forces. Looks like a bunch of, this is an army corps, this is also an army corps, so they've got a pretty decent sized force up there. Division of cavalry, these look like Cossacks, yeah, mixed forces, mostly under lieutenant generals. And my guessing is they're going to leave Bosnia and make their way towards Niš or Macedonia. They're going to look to move to support Ivan Paskovich. So to that end, Omar is going to try and catch them flat-footed. That's a 14-day march, and we're going to sit tight there. They are bottled up in Bosnia. Maybe spend a fortnight recovering. I don't know. Weather's still good. Early August, we're still in the summer. There's an opportunity here to wrap the deal up on a large part of the Russian army, but this was an overwhelming success. Absolutely superb. Irritatingly, there seems to still be a Russian force, but we've had so much accumulated capital now. I've begun the construction of a military gear factory, which is like a supply factory basically, and an ammunition factory. So on the back of the kind of normal kind of business-like enterprises, we now have enough of an industrial base to support this, which is basically going to be the limits of our sort of industrial military complex. For the foreseeable future anyway, for the next few years. But we do want to have the capacity to provide our armed forces with supplies and ammunition, and so it's important that development begins. Yeah, a story of overwhelming success. National morale, 5 gained from recapturing Salonika, plus 2 from the battle. and +1 from a sort of variable will to fight and national resilience. Russians are back down to 98, I think. So really, really good. And hopefully we're going to be looking at a string of victories as Omar presses his advantage hard on the heels of the Russians, presses them north into Zvornik. No new developments in the eastern part. This army, which was kind of badly defeated and harried, sent reeling into Bessarabia, seems to have settled now. They've got looks like 3 cavalry divisions sitting in Varna, plus an army corps and something with it. Besieging Plevna. I think we have a large enough force that we can hold out for the time being. But anyway, if we can't, Omar's busy elsewhere. I think we'll look to kind of, we will look to deal with this force. This feels at the moment like the lesser risk, the lesser threat. Given that what's happened to Salonika, I think that the urgency is to kind of close this gap before the Russians kind of hurdle through it and sort of combine forces over here. If we can completely destroy Russian forces in Bosnia, that would be absolutely outstanding. Anyway, we won't get too hopeful, but that's really, really good news. The Russians in Batumi, we lost a small battle there. These are just Bashi bazooks that fell back. We can now see that the actual Tsar, not his son, Nicholas I, is now leading his army in the field, and he is in Trebzond. To that end, Abdulkerim-Nadir is activated because he is not Riza Pasha, and he's going to be heading north. He is 7 days away. He's going to be joined by the cavalry division led by Mehmed Rashid. Fuse that force. He's going to be joining. He's going to be joining Abdulkerim's force in 6 days. That's a little bit worrying because that means that he gets there a day early. Do we want to risk that? We'll just set him to a defensive posture then. Yeah, we'll set him to a defensive posture. He gets there a day early. He won't necessarily engage then, and there's only a day then until Abdulkerim-Nadir is in place. Abdulkerim, this is your moment to shine, matey. Mehmed Vasif is in place. Let's give him the army corps, and this is his moment to shine. Now he has quite a raw army. 2/3 of the army corps are comprised of kind of conscripts. They haven't really received regular replacements yet. We have 1 regular army corps plus a range of support detachments and supplies, and 1 cavalry division. But this is really it. This is his moment to shine. We're going to keep the cavalry brigade in place for the time being. I should say, of course, as you may have gathered, we won the kind of siege of that fortress. Abdulkerim-Nadir provided some support to kind of marshal the sound of the guns effect, but that was a success. We stormed the fortress easily in the bag. 6,400 prisoners. The Russian garrison destroyed, but we'll keep the kind of the brigade in place for the time being. But an exciting development. So there is going to be a big battle in the east against none other than the Tsar himself. He's in command of an army corps plus a range of divisions, mixed brigades, a few divisions, mixed brigades, pontoon brigade by the looks of it. My thinking is our force should slightly outnumber his. 87,000 men. We've got the larger force. It's slightly rawer. We're going to be crossing a river, but we have engineers and we have pontooners and this sort of thing, so that should be fine. And there's going to be a big engagement in the west as well. There's nothing else to report in terms of combat. They were the only engagements. We are moving the fleet back to the Bosphorus just to close anything off passing through here for the time being, and also to sort of bring our guns to bear against any small Russian forces we see loitering around Constantinople. We'll keep it sort of set to shore kind of battery, shore barrage. Let me just flick through the reports very quickly. Lots of congratulations are in order. I think those commanders are of course all junior officers. Khurshid is in command of the Imperial Guard. He gets congratulations. Really, really good all round sort of fortnight. That economic measures have been set. Exports have been set. Our trade balance suggests that our exports do not cause any kind of concerns or problems. We had stockpiled a huge amount of capital and manufactured goods on the basis of the fact that our attempts to build structures in Constantinople kept getting kind of basically turned down because we couldn't bring the raw materials into place because of kind of small Russian irregulars. basically conducting a kind of guerrilla campaign around the road. So we're kind of mopping up the area around Constantinople. This is really irritating and unfortunate this has happened, and really shows the extent to which having a highly centralized economy, it makes you a little bit vulnerable, you know, having an economy entirely based around Constantinople. And this is the worst case scenario as well, a Russian force, which is tiny, in a really small province, which we can't seem to see or engage. It's unbelievably infuriating. But yeah, it's, of course, surprising. I mean, like, you know, I mean, a great coup for the Russians. Surprising amounts of economic disruption. So yeah, extremely irritating. Let's just check our steel imports. We've got them set to 5 for the time being. I think that'll be okay. I might up that to, we get to northern Germany. I'm going to up that to 10, I think. Yeah. Luckily, there is quite a lot of steel on the international market. We still sit at 63 manufactured goods, which is absolutely great. There is more availability of manufactured goods, but I don't think there's. I think we're going to be okay. 63, that's nice. That's it. That's the turn. Early August. Very quickly check the treaties to reply to. No significant developments. No, that's it. So I'm going to pause here. Past turn. See you in late August. Okay, welcome back. And it is looking like Omar Pasha's offensive north was successful. So he passed through Macedonia. Didn't really spend very long there. Kosovo, Niš, and he kind of wound up in Zvornik. Engaged in a couple of running battles. The first one was just outside the fortress. There seemed to be residual Russian forces under Gorchakov. I thought Gorchakov was over here. I may have misread the name of the commander, but his force was entirely wiped out. It looks like it was very under strength, very weak kind of brigades. There's only about 2,800 men. I mean, one of those brigades would have been about that strength, at full strength. So this looks like it's remnants of forces. He took, what, 5,000 prisoners, and engaged in an additional action at Niš, which gave us a national morale point, which is Pascovich's force. It looks like it was in full flight. Took 6,200 prisoners, inflicted 4,000 casualties, took 4,000 of our own. A victory, 1 national morale point, only lasted about 1 round. It's a very brief battle. But what we now have of course, is the kind of Russian force at Sarajevo. They are bottled in. We're going to stay in Zvornik. The gap's closed. We're going to set to hold at all costs. And what we need now really is just a period of recovery. We are supplied. Yeah, we're just going to have to sit tight. If we can hold out this turn, assuming the Russians go for an attack here, yeah, that's what we need to do really, is hold out for another fortnight at Zvornik, and then just get some recovery, some force cohesion, get some replacements up. We're going to start consolidating the rear with irregulars. It's looking like Salonika, having fallen, is now kind of secure. Yeah, all we can do is sit tight. Things have gotten a little bit chaotic. I mean, they've lifted the siege at Plevna. I don't know where the main Russian force is that was besieging Plevna. There is a cavalry force of some kind and a supply detachment. It looks like there's a cavalry division in Adrianople. We are going to be sending Ismail Pasha and the Reserve Army Corps through Adrianople up to Rumelia. We're going to set him to an offensive posture, and the idea is just to clear the route from Adrianople to Rumelia. We want to try and keep lines of communication open to Omar Pasha. We've got a French force sitting at Sofia, and we've got irregulars sitting in Petrik and Plovdiv. And as I say, we've got some, we've got a force moving into Macedonia as well to kind of clear the route. There is still a Russian force. It looks like our attempt to build those structures will once again kind of bounced. They failed. We've got a lot of accumulated private capital now. We're going to be a bit careful that we don't kind of trigger an economic crisis. So I'll do a later video about that. But once you get too much capital accumulation, well, you can trigger an economic crisis, basically. There's an ammunition. Can we actually build anything? You see, it suggests that we can build something. in Constantinople. But every time I've attempted to do that, we don't lose anything. It's just bounced and we get the capital back and the resources back for it. This time round, we could be in a position to try. Okay, let's try and build a military gear factory. We've got so much private capital now accumulated that we can build both in one fell sweep. So we're going to be going for, yeah, military gear and ammunition shop once again. And I mean, even on top of that, we've got 500 private capital. So we've got really good state revenue coming in at the moment. We're not spending it on anything, partly because of our limited officers. They're kind of beginning to kind of we're starting to get kind of replacements of officers in now. We've just got Basima technique, which means that we can basically build steel plants, which is something that we're definitely going to be looking at. We might build a steel plant, probably a bit closer. We've got coal reserves in a steel plant in Ankara would make sense. Just where we have local access to coal, or maybe somewhere in the Balkan Peninsula, Sofia, somewhere like that. But yeah, we've got so much kind of state revenue that I've actually begun the process of using the state to continuously finance one line of technology research. So we're going to be basically continuously funding the development of percussion cap muskets, and that's going to be an ongoing thing, and that's an important qualitative kind of technological change for our armed forces. So we're going to keep funds trickling into that project. Our economy is now large enough, I think, that we can do that. That's it in the West. In the East, it's a victory. It's not any kind of big, colossal victory. We lose 900 men, we inflict sort of 2,500 casualties, but it's a victory in the bag for Abdulkerim-Nadir, and one that we're thankful for, and against a not insignificant Russian force. I mean, 51,000, plus 206 guns under the Tsar himself. Where he's gone is a bit of a mystery, but we've got to keep that offensive rolling. Abdulkerim-Nadir appears to be in especially good shape. I'm only assuming, I'm assuming that's the case because he engaged, on day 7, has been kind of resting since then. For whatever reason, the cavalry division wasn't able to get into the theatre and link up, so we're going to push him on into Batumi to link up with Abdulkerim's force there. He's set to an offensive and all-out attack. There is, we presume, a Russian force. It looks like there's ships, which we might capture. That does happen, by the way. We might capture some Russian ships in Batumi, but if they don't leave in time. But yeah, we're going to keep that offensive going in the east. Feels like we're on the rebound. It feels like kind of the war is reaching a point of critical mass. If we can hold this kind of hold the position at the bottleneck in Zvornik just long enough, he's marched from Rumelia, engaged in a colossal action around Salonika, and marched up here and engaged in a couple of actions whilst marching to Zvornik. So again, even by Omar Pasha's standards, this is absolutely sensational stuff. And he's in Zvornik, and he's in fighting shape, but he does need a bit of time. We don't want to be engaging this large force comprised of 3 army corps, a couple of divisions of brigade and supplies. We don't want to be doing that in a kind of risky way. Yeah, they've got a lot of commanders there as well. That is a serious Russian force, so we're going to sit on the defensive, and we are going to engage that on our own terms, I think. Yeah, once again, all eyes on Omar Pasha. It's, fingers tightly crossed that he holds that position, frankly. That's pretty much it. In terms of sort of combat reports, there's nothing else to report. We have completed the training of the cavalry division. That's now going to be moving towards Constantinople to join the brigade. There is still a tiny Russian force there. It's just unbelievably irritating. We really want this Russian force dealt with. Yeah, all we can do is, it's just very small. I think it's a very, very small force that's left. We're talking like 30 or 40, 50 guys, maybe 100 men or something like that, conducting some kind of like a guerrilla campaign. And I don't think, if they were told, they wouldn't believe the number of, Ottoman troops they're tying up. But these things happen, I suppose. Yeah, Basima process, that's really, really good. So we can build steel plants, and that is going to be a consideration. In terms of our sort of trade balance, let's get things set. Let's set that to 15, 25, what's that, to 20, I think. So we tend to set these ones constantly at 50. 49, we'll set that to 50. I have stopped the conversion of canned goods or preserved goods, which means that we've got a particularly large stockpile of cereals and fruits, and that will end soon. But We just did it because we had such a huge stockpile of canned goods that, you know, it was just kind of, I think I mentioned in an earlier video, it was just vanishing into the economy. Where the hell have we got rum from? How extraordinary. We weren't even looking to import rum. I wonder if we took it from, let's have a look at economic reports. Okay, yeah, so it's just a randomized event. The wealth of capital of the country emerged to businessmen. Okay, so yeah, we just got a good deal for rum. Fine, we'll leave it on the domestic market and allow that to be gradually consumed. We'll quickly read through any kind of intelligence reports, what foreign powers might be getting up to, what's going on. What's Russia up to? Okay. Okay, that's good. How far are we from being able to press protectorate status? Yeah, we're there. 25 plus 1 diplomat. Okay, let's press for protectorate status then. For Dubai, and that will gobble up quite a bit of state revenue. Okay, that's it. Military move set. The fleet is going to sit tight in the Bosporus for the time being. Shell any Russian troops that we see. Got to consolidate the interior. Omar Pasha, by the bowels of Christ, hold that position. And yeah, got to stick you on pause. See you in early September. I think in early September we'll part company there until the next video. So yeah, I'll put you on pause now and unpause the recording and see you in the next turn. So it'll be early September. We'll do a kind of report back on any developments over the turn, and then we'll save it then. Okay, we're back. Early September 1853, and a relatively uneventful turn in the greater scheme of things. One engagement, and that was the mopping up action at Constantinople. It now looks like that small Russian force that's been a bit of a bane has been mopped up. Basically, we've once again attempted to begin the construction of a military gear and an ammunition shop in Constantinople, which I suspect that force has been preventing its mere presence adjacent to the capital. We do want to focus industrial development on Constantinople because we build railroads. We can kind of lay some railroad in Constantinople. It's a big city anyway. For reasons I've mentioned, it's going to be a focal point for development for the time being. The second city will be Smyrna, and that'll be our project, I think, next to kind of build that city up. Yeah, only one engagement. Omar Pasha was not engaged. The Russians are sitting tight at Sarajevo. He is in Zvornik. He is not activated. I think for the first time, I think I've seen him not activated, and we're more than happy with that. It may be that he's absent from his command, perhaps on leave, or perhaps he's just assessing that he doesn't want to move just yet. He is adamant that he wants to sit tight in this position, so he will do that. His forces have recovered and will continue to recover their strength and cohesion. We can see that Russian supplies are dwindling a little bit. He may be looking simply to sit tight and wait for the Russians to kind of get themselves in a really sticky situation. There is a chance the Russians might slip through, of course. If that is the case, we will detach a cavalry division to retake Sarajevo and then press Omar Pasha to basically harrying that Russian force. And I think once Sarajevo's, or the Bosnia situation is dealt with, we're going to be looking to head west into Agosta, lifting the siege at Plevna, and then dealing with these mixed Russian forces that are beginning to kind of develop once again in the Eastern Balkans, just north of the capital. Ismail moved into Rumelia. There was no engagement. He's not activated. We're going to keep him set to defend, retreat. Defend and retreat. He would defend, make a kind of, a sort of half-hearted attempt at defending, but we're not going to sacrifice his force to any determined Russian attack on his position. That's the situation in the west. In the east, no significant battle. We've spotted the Russian Tsar and his command. I don't know where his son has gone. There was a force commanded by his son. But anyway, we're just going to sit tight in Batumi. Abdulkerim is not activated. We want to consolidate control of this region. And yeah, most of our commanders are not activated for this turn. And that's okay, to tell you the truth. It's been a hectic summer. A really hectic summer. The only other thing to report in the south is that I'm going to detach the cavalry division from our force. And we're going to send that force south with a view to trying to get control of Aden, and then begin some constructions in Aden, because Aden is the colonial capital. I noticed the British are engaging in a bribing operation there, We're going to match that with our own. We want to keep our colonial penetration high. We don't want British kind of involvement here to atrophy our colonial kind of penetration development. We've got protectorate status set for Dubai. That's going to be on another 6 turns, so 12 weeks, I guess. By the end of the year, or around the end of the year, all quiet in Tripolitania and Cyrenaica. What a summer, you know. What started out as a mitigated disaster and catastrophe, things have really stabilized. We kind of recoiled from the disaster. Omar Pasha, once again, has been absolutely sensational at the head of our Western Field Command, and has inflicted just astonishing defeats on the Russians again and again and again. We have Salonika, British forces moved in place. It looks like the British and the French are mostly set on functioning as a kind of holding force. We can't see them. That said, there seems to be a British force up here at some point. We don't know where it is. You know, it may be that British forces are kind of are invisible to us in Russian territory. I'm not sure. Let's have a quick look at the UK. Yeah, so our alliance isn't such that we can see British forces wherever they're deployed. As such, it may be, we can see British forces that are deployed in the Ottoman Empire. We don't have a formal, open kind of alliance with the British. We have a kind of alliance that I think is set by scripted event, sort of, as it were. So there may very well be British forces in Russian territory. We don't really know. It may be the case that they're not just, they look like they're not really kind of doing very much, but they may be involved in something. It looks like the Swedes are getting active in Finland. This may just be a kind of deep penetrating raiding force. We don't know. We can't see what's happening up there, but that's good to see, because that will draw Russian forces away. And I mean, at the beginning of the summer, Russia was looking like an absolute kind of juggernaut, after kind of... but we have to be careful. It's in these moments that the Russians always kind of like, just as we feel like we're getting a handle on things, they kind of they do have. I mean, the Russians are very durable. They have a very durable army, and they can take these kind of losses. If we had been stung by a successive string of defeats like that, would have been sent reeling with one field commander in the Balkan Peninsula. This force would be sat in Adrianople or Constantinople looking to recovery, and the Russians would have the entire Balkan Peninsula by now. But the Russians can absorb this kind of punishment. They still have substantial forces. The dream would be to find a way of completely destroying this Russian force, and maybe this one in Macedonia completely, and then allowing Omar Pasha to really focus on the developing sort of emergency here in the Western Balkan Peninsula. But yeah, a great recovery. It's been a bit of a white knuckle ride, really, as the campaign has kind of gone on. And early September, we've only got really sort of 4, 5, 6 weeks, maybe a couple of months of decent weather left. It depends. I mean, last year we had a bit of an Indian summer, didn't we? And maybe that'll be the case again. We will see. But yeah, it's been a good run. And what I'll do, I think, is I'll kind of save turn here, or I'll sort of save the recording here, and I'll pass turn when I next load the game up, and we'll join each other again in late September. I don't have any significant moves. None of our forces are activated, so the next turn will simply be economic administration. I might bring the fleet back into port. In fact, I will do that. So we'll join each other in sort of late September 1853, and begin to kind of make some plans for the autumn as the rains come in, and to see what we can do about Russian forces in the Balkan Peninsula. So, yeah, until then, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.